will officially begin. Thank you for those who came early and started to network. That is a trick, by the way, of any networking event that you go to, and I'll introduce myself in a moment. My name is Dana, but I want to share with you that arrive early at any networking event, even if it's a cocktails in the evening, your local business journal has some great event celebrating fastest growing companies, wherever you go, or on campus. Then arrive right when it starts and make a mission of just meeting people. Don't load yourself up with food yet and have your hands all filled with stuff or go, of course, what many of us want to do is just go into the corner and not talk to anybody. That would probably be our favorite thing to do because nobody likes networking events. But go early, always. It's the people who arrive right at the end, and then there's a dinner and you're stuck at the table with the person to your left and right. That's not networking, you know, that's okay, but it's the most fun part, hopefully, in time, is when it's out mingling and connecting with total strangers. And this is a great place to network. If you meet someone, you know, at least jot down their name, ask them what their LinkedIn email is or their LinkedIn name, and connect with them. Build a network amongst you. You have a start of it right here, especially for those of you who say, I don't have a network. Well, join everyone else who doesn't have a network. So my name is Dana Manciagli, and I'm from Seattle, Washington. I'll introduce myself as well, but I first want to thank all of you for coming here. I want to thank BMES, Terry Young, and her team for organizing this curriculum. And it's designed just for you, for your early career, all the things that you need to know to not only start, for some of you, your first job and go get that, but also to drive your career forward, so both short-term and long-term. And to this next hour, hour and 15, I'm going to talk about networking, not just face-to-face and exchanging of business cards. Now, we are going to talk about some of that, but also social media and what it is, social networking, what it is and what it isn't for networking, okay? I would like you all to take notes if you can, get used to that, because it's part of managing your career and job search is getting in the habit of jotting down things you're learning. Yes, you'll get the slides, but as you take in nuggets of things you need to remember, stop relying on your brain, please. It doesn't work. It fails us. And you know, just too many candidates come in to me and they come in empty-handed and say, really? So how are you going to remember what we talked about, what I said? And they say, up here. I'd say, B, you know, finish it out. So let me introduce myself and get right onto it. But first, you're going to introduce yourselves to me by being totally honest. We're not reporting any of these. We're not videotaping your raise of hands. But how many of you read these and have thought any of these, either out loud or to yourself? Anybody have said anything, believe any of these? Don't be shy. Okay? Those who didn't raise their hands are probably either lying or a friend of yours said it and you're afraid to say it was you. Because this is what everyone, this is from surveys, this is what we all believe. And networking is awkward. You know, networking is an American thing. I mean, that's kind of the first one, or it's not even on here, but I hear them all. How about I'm an introvert, so I don't network. So there are a lot of myths and just myths I'm going to bust today for you about networking, because honestly, I'll be very direct. You have to learn that. Maybe your way and your style and your certain niches, but you must connect for not only securing a job, but for growing in your position, even networking within your company. So no longer think of networking as only those cocktail parties where everyone's just exchanging business cards and it seems like a total waste of time. They can be if you make them. So let's go. And this will be repeat for those of you who saw it, but there's some new folks here as well. I just want to share with you now on networking. Now you know why, those of you who met me before, on why I'm a coach and a speaker on job search. But I've been a networking fiend since I was out of graduate school. I just really stayed in touch. I looked at it like a fun project, and I stayed in touch with people since 32 years ago now. I'm still in touch with. Who are people I had informational interviews. They helped me get a job. They were a boss when I was 28 years old. I'm now 54, and I just stay in touch with them. So my background is zigging and zagging, and always through people have I secured either a job or network to get my next one, or just for life, just around raising kids and balancing work and life and all that. So I graduated Thunderbird. I don't know if any of you have heard of it. It's a nickname for a school. It is not a cheap wine, although I hear there is one named as such. But I went to the American Graduate School of International Management in Phoenix, Arizona, and after getting my MBA, sold for IBM. So my background's all sales and marketing, which sales, of course, requires a lot of connecting with people. I moved from sales into Avery Dennison in product management, product marketing for 7 years. And then moved into Sealand, a shipping company. So I changed industries and I was director of marketing for all of Asia, living in Hong Kong, and in Europe for Sealand, director of marketing for Europe, living in Europe. And then Kodak, Rochester, New York, VP of Worldwide Marketing, where I led a large team, large budget business for digital imaging. This was way back when Kodak was a brand, one of the top 3 brands in the world. Unfortunately, they lost their mojo. They were in denial that digital was here to stay. Then I went to a .com for 4 years. Great fun in Seattle, Washington in the .com heyday back in 1998, and was VP of Sales and Marketing, and took the company public and then sold it to Kinko's, actually FedEx Kinko's, and moved over to Microsoft. I made no money on the .com, so do not look at me like one of those .com millionaires. I'm not. The stock went up and the stock went down. Then I joined Microsoft. I've been there the last 11 years until 2 years ago, where I resigned to do this. But I had a great run, great company, and my last 6 years were general manager of worldwide sales for a $3 billion division of Microsoft, leading a worldwide sales force, and all the OEM technology, all the software that we sold to HP, Dell, to pre-install in their servers and PCs. And then I just said, I need to help all of you, hopefully reaching millions for the rest of the decades of my life. So one way I'm reaching millions, so my first month out of Microsoft, I wrote, Cut the Crap, Get a Job. My second book is coming out probably not this year, now that it's October. Beginning of next year, Cut the Crap, Network for Success, which is why I'm here today, too, to help you on networking. And what I get to do is I get to be my style, my personality, kind of like some of you know Jillian Michaels is a fitness trainer. So I look at this similar to that. You can go to the gym, you can do your own thing, you cannot go to the gym, and you're not going to see results. Or if you really want fast results, you get a trainer. And that's why I also coach people one-on-one, and I get to talk on radio, TV, and print to help a whole bunch of people with this very important aspect of your career, which is networking. Now let's talk about first, before we begin, the definition of networking, because there's no point in continuing the day, this next hour, with things to do, tricks, traps, how to make it come alive, if you don't know what it is. And this is why networking has such a bad reputation, because people don't know what the definition is. So there's a few breakdowns. First of all, it's two-way. So never, even though many cases you are in a position where you need something, you're in an informational interview, that means you're the networker, they're the networkee. There's oftentimes it is biased to someone who needs something. However, for the long term, it needs to be two-way, because you can help anybody. You can offer to help them. No matter what level they are, what they do, there's always should be a two-way conversation. Tell me about yourself. Oh, tell me about yourself. The second key part is that it's long-term. It is not in, out. I'm going to go network to get a job. Okay, bye-bye. Or I'm going to go connect with 100 people on LinkedIn. There, I've connected with them. And I'm going to bust that today, too, that that's not networking either. So if you remember that it's two-way and long-term, that puts a lot of pressure on you, by the way, not the other person, to maintain that relationship. The onus is on you. And that's where networking breaks down. So when networking turns bad, anyone know, guess at what would you call it if these are not met? What's another word for bad networking? Anyone have a guess? What happens when you call someone and last minute, hey, I need you for this, okay, gotta go, bye. What does that feel like? Using, thank you. And that's mostly what networking is out there. It's using, and it feels like crap being the other person because we know it. We just know it. And the saddest part about why it feels like using is that all you needed to do was either say thank you afterwards, like sometimes there's not even a thank you note, or in about a couple weeks say, hey, I'm just thanking you again that you really helped me a lot. I got out of that situation we were talking about. There's no follow-up of any kind. That's using. That's because the other person, you, I'll blame you, had no intent to follow up at all. You just wanted in, out. And that's what people perceive as networking, and that's why it stinks today. It really does. And that's why that business card exchange seems so futile, but it doesn't have to be like that. So my wish is wave the magic wand at the end of this hour. You're not going to be one of those. You're going to be one of those unique people who now know how to do it right today, immediately. Okay, let's do a little quiz and be honest with yourself, be honest with me. You know, just take a look. These are different scales, so you only get to pick one. And just read what they are and kind of be self-critical. We all want to be self-aware and know where we are and how much we have to learn. And so how many of you say, I'm a 1? For any reason at all. No one cares. Great. Thank you for being honest. The rest of you liars. Come on, 1s, raise your hand. Come on, he started it. Good. Like my kids. He started it. Okay, good. How many are thinking about it but not doing it? Oh, thank you. A lot of 2s. Good. How's it working for you? Not so good. How many are 3? You kind of dabble in it. Yeah, I talked to some of you today. Okay, good. Any 4s in the room? Wow. Handful. Okay, you see them. Look around. Maybe you can talk to some of them. Raise your hands again if you think you're a 4. Okay, 3. 3 4s? No 4s? Oh, kind of. 3.5, I saw. Okay, so I'm a 5. I stand up here and I teach. I write a book. So I'm going to challenge you to say if you're a 4, you're probably a 3, you're a 3, you're a 2, you're a 2, you're a 1. And the 1s, sorry, you're not quite on the board yet. But I appreciate you for being honest, because that's why you're here today. Because on top of that, of self-awareness of where you are and where you need to go, and none of you have to be a 5, by the way. This is just because it's my crazy, crazy passion, is you've got to shed the excuses you give yourselves for not being a 1 to 2, a 2 to 3, 3 to 4. Because this is what gets people stuck. And your self-belief, negative belief. You know, in the last session we talked about the little devil standing here that you got to brush off, who's telling you all these negative things. But. So I don't care if you're an introvert. Guess what? Introverts make better networkers than extroverts. Those of you who are saying this, you are more, you listen better, you make better eye contact, you're more calm, you're usually listening harder, and just building stronger relationships, more genuine from the beginning. Us extroverts, we're the ones looking like the business card exchange and just, yeah, see you, and let's do lunch. You know, it's meaningless. Yeah, that's what it's perceived as. Both can be excellent, but it's back to the process I'm going to teach you today. It's not so much about your personality. So differentiate. Okay, that may be a personality trait. That doesn't mean I'm a bad networker. I'm not going to go through all these that slowly. I just wanted to stop on that one. We know time management is a problem for all of us. We're all jammed. So I'm going to talk about that today. This isn't for everybody. No, it's not, but networking isn't the same thing for everybody either. You don't have to go to one networking event to be a networker. You do not have to exchange business cards over cocktails every Thursday night at 5 and to get the check for networking. There are many different ranges of it, but you do need to do something. I'm not looking for a job right now, so there's no need to network. Okay, so basically what you're saying is I don't have anybody to use right now. Okay, because that's using, is when you have a job, you're all of a sudden going to flip a switch. It doesn't work like that. This is actually the best time if you're not looking for a job until, let's say you're going to start in February or even March, whenever you're going to start. If you've started, you better start networking now too. But don't let yourself off the hook that you don't have a goal or a purpose to network. I'm going to give you a few. We're going to start talking about goals too, about networking goals. Afraid of making mistakes. I want you to make mistakes. I want you to step in the biggest piles of you-know-what, because it's going to be awkward, and you've got to get over those. You're going to forget your business cards, and all of you should have them, by the way. We're going to talk about that. You should have just personal business cards made on your PC, Mac, and just print them, like even anything, Vistaprint, even if it's just your personal name, your degree name, and your LinkedIn, an email, something to give people so they can connect with you on LinkedIn so you can meet them. So jot that down if you want. Is just go invest, make your own. They have templates, and get just a handful of personal business cards. But you will make mistakes, and bravo, go celebrate that. If you called Bill, Bob, or you were late by an hour, oops, just go make those. But that means you're doing something. You're getting over the hump. Okay, 3 big steps. No different than on job search, but these are going to be very different in terms of what you do. I want you to set a networking goal. This is different than your job search goal. This is why are you out there networking. Then you're going to prepare to network. Those of you who watch the movie, or if you haven't, write it down. It's a great rental, Field of Dreams, about baseball. And there's a very well-known phrase of build the field, they will come. And it's a baseball field. And then players started coming and people started coming. You need to build the field for networking before you actually go out and do it. Or don't waste your time. Don't dive into ACT if you haven't prepared and you don't have a goal. Just don't bother. It's okay. See how that works for you. Let's go into setting your goal. Now, so many people, Dana, but networking is supposed to be about getting to know people and just chit-chatting. Yes, but there needs to be a there. You need to have a conversation about something. And a great way is to have a purpose. Let's say you go to an event, and just a let's say you go to the next biomedical engineering event, November 7th, and people say, hi, I'm Sally, and I'm Joe. Oh, what brings you here? Just ask that question. That's a great question to have in your hip pocket. What brings you here? Well, you want an answer for that too. Even if you ask it, they're going to ask you next. And this is where your goal comes in. And you want it to be clear and crisp, and it actually encourages them to engage with you. And it's the old help me, help you. Another movie line I love, Jerry Maguire, okay? Because everybody has goals, and your goals will change over your life. They might change in 6 months. Once you have a job, you might be networking to how do I grow in my career? How can I be the best at what I'm doing in my job? So your goal will change. But I want you to have an answer to what brings you here, or what are you looking for? How about this question you'll be asked? How can I help you? And if someone asks you, how can I help you, you want to say how they can help you. You don't want to say, I'm good. Okay? There's just no point. People want to help you. Know that everyone you meet, and you want to help others. It's so fun to have someone else say, oh, I'm looking for I don't know what companies there are in Austin in biomedical engineering. That's why I'm here. Oh, have you thought of this? Have you thought of that? You can help anyone too. So you'll be on both sides of that question. So I want you to write out your networking goal. If we were doing a 2-hour seminar, we would pause and do that and share and all that, but we're going to go through these pretty quickly. But here's some examples of what a goal might be. And if you don't have one, folks, make one up. Have one in the moment, just to have a conversation. Otherwise, it's just empty, and they'll move on. There's nothing to talk about. Look, I'm looking to learn more about what kind of jobs are out there, or a specific job. I'm here to see if someone knows more about Merck Pharmaceuticals. I'm looking for jobs to apply to. I'm kind of stuck on what my best sources are. Do you have any ideas? I've applied to some jobs. I need help getting an interview. Can you maybe give me some feedback? Or can I meet with you after this event to talk about it? And I'm employed, but I want to be sure I'm not lost in the crowd. I'm in this program that has a whole bunch of BMEs, but I want to be sure I stand out. I'd love to learn what some of the top attributes are. These are just some examples. But just all of you have goals. It could be a job goal or not a job goal. Later in life, maybe, and for some of you now, work-life balance. Gee, I got the kids and the job. Dana, what are your 3 tricks on how did you do it? So have a conversation starter, but also have it be your goal and be proud to share it. What I don't want you to do is dance around it. How about this? Hey, what brings you here? Well, I'm thinking about pursuing the next chapter of my life and then my next journey, and maybe you're job searching. say it. Punch me between the eyes and be proud of it. Just stand up, chin high, as my mom taught me. When in doubt, just raise your chin. I don't know what that is all about. It doesn't work for me, but thought I'd pass it along for Mom. Just say it. Say it what it is. Don't feel embarrassed about it or give it any precursors, you know, those lead-ins. Well, I'm graduating in May, and then I'm thinking about this. No, right to the finish line. What's your goal? What are you all about? We want to hear it. So you have your goal. Now, excuse number one, but I don't have a network. How can I go out and network when I don't have a network? That's crap. You all do, you just don't know it. And part of it is because it's not written down as part of your process. You haven't paused to say, let me think for a moment. And it's not easy. There's no shortcuts, no silver bullets. It doesn't mean you go to LinkedIn and count the number of connections you have. It means you really give some time to think. And I did this back in grad school, and I went to my parents. There's family at the top. Hey, who do you know who works in a business? I was studying marketing. Can I talk to them? Mom, will you introduce me to Andy because he runs a business? You know, I don't know Andy, but I started setting up phone calls. Your hobbies. Some of you play sports on the side. You do play an instrument. Ask those people, hey, can I talk with you about my career goal? Because you'll be shocked what they know and what they don't know, of course, too. But you have a network of people. The bottom line, you may not tap them all for your career. You may tap them for other things. But you do have a network. Your own schools. How many of you, I've asked, have you contacted your alumni association? It's right, you're part of the alumni organization already, and you will be once you graduate, but you can tap into what information they have now. You can start talking to alumni now. You can do sorts on LinkedIn by BMEs who graduated your school maybe 20 years ago and where they're working, what their job title is. And you can connect with them. I mean, it's amazing what network you have. Those of you who have worked, have you reconnected with your prior employers, prior coworkers? Connect with them again. So map out your network. Make it part of your plan. You can put it in your Outlook contacts, your Google contacts, whatever you use, LinkedIn. Color code them. Start getting real meticulous about your treasured black book, we used to call it, your contacts. Start organizing them because you will treasure them the rest of your career, truly, if you organize them now. I mean, I wish people at your stage of life started your network now instead of waiting till you're 30 and you are 30, 35, you're going to wake up and say, darn, I wish I listened to that woman wearing that red suit a long time ago in San Antonio. You are. You're going to say, God, I could have done that. Because those people, all those people you missed along the way to stay in touch with. So this is all online. You don't have to write this down. These worksheets are here, and they come with this book as well. They'll come with my networking book. But basically, it's simple. You have a goal now, even if it's just one. Now, who are the people you know? You can call them B. You can list them by name, by title, just write alumni, you know, whoever. But now, who are the new people you want to meet? Because you want to start having new informational meetings with brand new people, and you don't know their names, of course. So I get the question all the time, how do I fill in column C when I don't know who they are? Put titles. Put I want to meet alumni from my school who were BMEs 10 years ago who are working in San Francisco, and you narrow it down. Now, what can you offer? Just put something down, just to remind you, and the column is there to remind you to ask. At the end of every LinkedIn connection, you can say, by the way, what can I do for you? Or how can I help you in any way? You do have things to offer. Sometimes when I'm asked, I'll say, wow, I'm editing a book. I'm writing a book. Will you mind reading a chapter for me and giving me some feedback? You never know. You might be asked for something. Most likely they're going to say no, but they're really going to appreciate the offer because that shows you know networking is two-way. How many of you are employed today, even with an internship, any kind of employment, or most are full-time students? Some of you, raise your hands higher so I can see. Good. Great. Some of you are employed, or you've been employed also, you've had internships. I want to share with you, especially once you enter your next company, what internal networking is all about and how to think about it and how to start it. Because so many new hires, young in the career, don't get out and build a great base of networking at their companies. They sort of stay within the left side. And the left side is your traditional org chart. It's the hierarchical. It exists. It's got to exist. It's on paper. It's in your global address list of who reports to whom, right? You've got president. You've got and let's say let's find the name Cole. Do you see Cole way down here under G&G? Cole. So you're Cole. What you really want to do right when you start with a company, and I would love those of you who are with companies right now to do this as soon as you can, is on the right. You want to start learning about the shadow org, meaning your shadow. So now Cole is in the middle. And you want to draw the web of your virtual teams, of your boss and his boss, and peer levels, and how do they spring out into, you'll be on cross-functional teams, right? You'll be an engineer, and there will be some other, a marketing person, a salesperson, a product dev person. That's your virtual team. You don't all report up to the same person, like on the left. So you've got to know your structured org chart, your hierarchical, but you've got to go out and meet people who are on these emails that you're seeing flying around. Oh, John Smith, Sally, they're not in my org this way, but they are people who need to know me, and I want to know them. So that's how you build your networking strategy. Of people you want to set up 30-minute meetings with in your company are mostly on the right to learn from them outside of your structure. Please remember that, the shadow org for you to be successful. We talked about some of you at the beginning. I want to be sure you know sources of networking comes up. But Deanna, I don't know where to network. I don't know where to even begin. Well, how about within your own family? And that's this family. That's here today and tomorrow. How many new people are you going to meet? How many of you, raise your hand if you know the first name of the person to your left and right, assuming you have a left and right? How many of you know the name of the person? Not many. And it was so quiet in here for the 15 minutes before. I even said, come on, network. And all of a sudden, people were talking to one another. I want you to do that more in every session from now on. It's going to be awkward. You don't want to. You want to spend time on your smartphones. I know you got all the important email to do. You're the President of the United States. You got to check that smartphone. Try to network and try to get names to do something with after you meet him. Not just, hi, okay, I know his name. That's not good enough. You know, maybe it's someone you want to really stay in touch, or just connect with one another on LinkedIn. We're going to talk about that. What are other networking resources? Repeat notice from the prior one, but I really believe in this. This is, there was a logo, a URL. If you just want to write down bizjournals.com, there's a lot of free information on there, by the way, too. bizjournals.com. In 43 cities across the U.S., there's a business journal online or print, and great networking activities. Even for engineers, they've broken out into all different fields. You can attend the fastest growing private companies in San Francisco, wherever you live, or start reading it for the city you want to move to work. And there are a lot of great networking, plus people on the move. They talk about people who have just been promoted, and so you'll learn about them, and you can contact them too through the publication. So I want you to feel comfortable reaching out to vice presidents, company CEOs, CIOs, engineers. Start getting comfortable with it. Doesn't matter how old I am or what I do or that I'm a student. I can connect with anybody. Because what's the worst that's going to happen? They say no. Or they don't connect back with you on LinkedIn. They say no, they don't have time for a meeting. So what? There's plenty of other people, but if you never try, you'll never know. What if you get that meeting? Great. So I want you to feel be much more bold, no matter what type of personality you are, of at least asking for a phone conversation. My favorite two are ask for a phone conversation for 15 minutes or a face-to-face in their office for 30. Well, you know, one or the other, because they're bite-sized pieces to swallow. So if you want to know, God, how do I get, don't ask for an hour. They are going to say no. And don't ask for time without an agenda, you know, without a purpose. But you have that. You have your purpose, your goal. And go for it. I think you'll all be shocked at what you get back, because people want to help you. You just don't know it yet, because you're not asking. Okay, so I was still am, really rigorous in a networking plan, because if I didn't block it in my calendar, it didn't happen. I'd get caught up in other things. I was playing tennis in college, I was doing this and that, and then working, and who has time for networking? Well, you better make time, because it's the outcome of networking, which is so brilliant, is around people and jobs and opportunities and richness. And as squishy as richness sounds, you'll be shocked at the fabulous people you'll meet who you won't meet in your normal course of your job 8 to 5. So what are you going to do weekly? I'm just sharing mine, but task yourself, even as a student, even if it's just take a LinkedIn tutorial to get better on LinkedIn, things like that. Maybe you have to take baby steps to get until you're ready to network. Do it. Weekly, monthly. Can you go to 1 hour a meeting once a month? Can you go find one on campus that's either go to a speech someone's giving, where you're going to go early, meet the people who go to the speech, and meet the speaker, and you're done. Because you get to start practicing. Annually, are you sending out perhaps an update notice if you've been promoted, or once you get a job? How are you going to announce that? Via a nice email to your contacts. Things like that. I want you to get in the rhythm of, I need to start nibbling at this. So I do become that person who's got it going right when I'm employed, instead of when I'm 35 remembering that crazy woman in the red suit. So get that going now. Now, I have different goals right now. I want you to be comfortable that your goals are going to change. Again, I'm going to repeat that, because my goals, boy, when I was your age, of course, it was I want to get a job. I want a marketing job in a Fortune 500, and I was just powering it out there, probably using people more than I should have. But now, and then when I was mid-career, I've got to, my career was stuck at one point at Microsoft. I've got to build some supporters and get out of my division, get into a new one. That was my goal, to network. Now it's to get speaking leads, write more books, get some affiliates. You can see mine, community giving. I give to breast cancer and do the walk on Sunday and all that kind of stuff. But your goals will change. But still, you got to always be out there and keep it fresh and keep it alive. No one's going to do that for you, not even LinkedIn. LinkedIn's just a tool, and we're going to talk about that. Are you tracking your network? Even in contacts, if you meet someone today, you met me, for example, what are you doing with that? You may say, I'm just going to go to LinkedIn and connect with her. Okay, you can do that. But are you also putting it, perhaps you want some job search contacts in your contact section of Outlook or Google. And then you open up the notes section and type, met her on 10, what is today, 10/23, 24, what did we, 23. You know, met Dan on 10/23, she gave a speech, blah, 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 and just tuck that away. Because it may come up later. You may be in contact with me in 3 years. Dan, I need your help. We met back on 10/23/14 at the BMES. You see how it works? You will remember people if you jot down, where did I meet them, and you retain that info, not up here. Never. So I put it all, I track it all in my contacts, because I was raised on Outlook, contacts. I can pull up anybody, and it has where I met them, if they have Great Danes or Poodles, and what do we talk about over drinks. And I always have that information. It's just locked in. What did they say? Their insights. Okay, so this is 23, it's now 2014. So use your PC or Mac. It's time to use technology for networking and not just LinkedIn. I'm going to bash LinkedIn a little later, but I want you to build your own system. And in many, again, I told you, it's for mine, it's Outlook contacts, because then I can put in my calendar in about 6 months, follow up with John Smith, who I just met, and I've got all this information about when we met. But there's nothing much more to talk to him about now. But I know in 6 months I want to give him an update and thank him again for how much he helped me, and get back in touch. Get back in touch, back in touch. Please always send thank yous, even if you met someone in an elevator and they gave you their card, or you exchange notices, exchange information, and he said, oh, you ought to go to this event. It's really, really good for you. Or I know of a company, call me later. You want to send a thank you note. Treat your network with precision, with care, and they'll treat you back just as well. Any questions before I move on? Yeah, preparation. Good. Yes. Do it. Always email is fine. And I'm asked that a lot. Yeah, lovely to do handwritten thank you notes. No one does anymore. You can't even read my writing, so I avoid that. But I'll go back to job search, and then I'll come to networking. First, in job search, you want all your thank you notes in email because that's the quickest way. And if you're in an interview and then they're huddling right after the interviews, comparing all the candidates, you want it in their inbox versus snail mail. But in networking too, it's so nice. You know, the best way to thank someone is immediately. No different than if you have employees and when they did a great job. The big rule of thumb is thank them right away and give them the atta-girl, atta-boy right away. No different than in networking. Email is great, but just make it a little more formal. The email's typically, hey, Dana, thank you for your speech, you know, Chuck. You know, make a more proper business because you're building a more senior business relationship. So dear so-and-so, just a nice body. I remember what you said about this, a little more words, and thank you, and your name, email, phone number, a good signature block. Make it a good business communication, not just a quick thank you. Do what you can. Great question. Any other questions about preparation? Tricks for remembering people's names. Well, given the fact that in the last session I called our wonderful assistant here the totally wrong name. So rule number one, say it with confidence even though it's totally wrong. That always works for me. No, there are some tips, tricks on the web. I'm pretty bad at it. I can't do it based on what they were wearing. You know, the old say it back to them 3 times. You've probably heard all those. I try to ask for their business card early, and so I can kind of, and I hold it and say, oh, Bill, thank you so much, instead of waiting to the end, because by then you forgot their name. So I say, Bill, nice to meet you. By the way, can I have a business card so I remember you? You know, so I just do that up front. I'm always writing, though. I always have, I should pull that out of my purse, but I have this little blue notebook with a pen, those little field notes. You know, anything, have it in your purse, and you've got to write it down, because you just won't remember everyone. At a table, let's talk about how do you remember names at a meeting. Let's say you go into a group interview. Maybe sometimes they have 4 or 5 people sitting that way. On your piece of paper, write the table layout and write the names around the table. Same if you're in a meeting at a company or internship and there's a bunch of executives, you know, map them out where they were sitting and write their names down as they went around introducing. No, I'm not awesome at that, but boy, I say the wrong name with confidence. That's the best I can give you. More than 4.5 on networking? Thank you. I've been demoted. Okay, let's get into acting. The real one, you're going to get out there and you're going to start networking, and you are going to, I keep saying step in crap, but you can step in bubble gum. You know that feeling where you got the gum on the bottom? Well, I want you to step in some of that. You know, not a lot of it, but that means you're doing something, and you're going to get over those humps because it is awkward. Networking, say it to yourself all the time. Okay, I'm going to go into this room. I hate this, I hate this, I hate this. Okay. But everyone does. Everyone around you, no matter how comfortable they look, they'd rather be home watching the World Series or home with the dog. You know, this is not the most, but once you're in there, I want you to then find ways to enjoy it and avoid big mistakes. So here we go. So I want you to take some risks. First of all, we talked about planning, okay, at top. So be sure you have that goal. If you're walking in somewhere, even on campus, make one up. If you don't have one, because you need something to talk about. And maybe it's just wow, I really need to do better in interviewing. What's your trick? Or, names. How do you remember names? You know, have a goal. You have your tools. So be sure, you're going to go out and catch, one of my favorite analogies, you're going to go out catching, fishing for fish, duh. Fishing, you're going to catch a fish. What are you going to do with it? How are you going to clean it? So don't go out fishing for relationships and contacts if you don't have your process in place. And that could be a spreadsheet. Do you have your little field notes? Do you have a pen and a paper? Get yourself prepared. Okay, networking. Your purpose is to make new contacts. That's the whole point. It's awkward. You're going to meet total strangers. And we were raised not to talk to strangers. Well, I want you to go out and talk to strangers. You want to track your contacts. You want to practice different approaches, because you're going to find, I'm walking up to these people and they're looking at me like I have 3 eyeballs and they're not having a conversation back. So that's not working. So you got to practice different things. You know, most of them are, hi, my name is. Now, the hardest one with networking is big group networking. When you see a group of people standing around, there's 3 to 4 people, you're alone many of the times, you must just get comfortable walking up and wedging in and just smiling. You know, you won't become the center of their conversation yet. You can listen in, but you'll read the body language. I mean, naturally, if they look like they're in a fierce conversation, arguing about something, let's say, don't do it. You use your best judgment. But if they look like they're exchanging business cards, they're meeting new people too, join in. And my analogy is actually up here after the last session or every time I speak. There's people who walk right up and there's people sort of that hang in the back, and I'm constantly saying, come in, come in. So see if you're one of those that kind of is in the second rung when there's plenty of opportunity to jump into the first circle. Then do it. That's one way of practicing. And I'll go through do's and don'ts. But basically we're in planning, doing, and following up. If you can remember those 3 that I need to prepare, okay, got it. I'm going to now go out and practice a few ways, and I'm going to be clunky and awkward, and then I'm going to follow up. Don't network if you're not going to follow up. Just don't do it. Don't go. Because it's using, and it's a waste of your time, or it's a waste of their time too. But the ball is in your court to drive this loop. No one's going to do it for you. That's another myth about networking. Well, I thought he would call me. Or I'm waiting for them to call me. Hey, we exchange business cards. They have mine. Why didn't they reach out to me? Well, you're going to be better than they are. So here's some do's and don'ts. Now we're still in acting, in the actual part of networking. I want you to practice being brief and concise. And that's why it's so important to have that goal, because you can just state very clearly, hey, or if you have a question for them, can I ask you a question? Just state the question and listen. You don't need to keep, asking more. Just, you have great questions for people. State it and stop talking and let them answer. We get nervous, so we just keep going on and on. Take notes always, always, always. Even if you walk up to your professor or the Career Placement Center, hey, can you help me with this? Or you met a speaker. What if you ask them a question? That's networking, because you're building a relationship, but you have nothing to write with. Because start being really respectful and polite with your networking, with the folks you're networking with. You might not write anything down that's really important. Write down bananas, apples, milk, at least show that you really care about their guidance, their advice. But I bet you won't have to do the grocery list, because they're probably saying something that will help you. Handouts, notes, if you're networking on something around engineering, and if you have a cool project that you just finished, or I don't know, don't bring out, of course, a blueprint or anything like that. But if you have something you think might help to show them, have it with you in your briefcase or your folio. Informationals come up all the time. You don't quite have an interview yet, but you get to meet maybe some of your programs, I understand, you're at school, ask you to go out and have informational meetings. I want you to have the agenda for that. I mean, imagine, informational, the difference is with that and an interview is you own the informational. Otherwise, you will both be sitting there, and it will be awkward, because they are expecting you to have questions for them. And I've had so many informationals, Dana, please, at Microsoft, I'm brand new, can you see me and give me some tips? Sure, I give them 30 minutes, they sit down. Awkward. So I say, okay, what can I help you with? Oh, I don't know, I guess I thought you could just tell me about Microsoft. And I'm looking at my clock, so this is going to be a long-ass 30 minutes, I'm telling you. Oh, my God. This person came in with nothing that they wanted to drive. So have an agenda. Put 3 things on it. Dana, number 1, I want us to introduce ourselves. You first, Dana, and then I will. Always have them first. Number 2, what are the top 3 attributes of the best Microsoft employee? Give me something that I can answer. Not these world hunger questions of what's Microsoft going to be in 10 years, or how do I grow my career at Microsoft? So ask some you have those questions, but just ask them, and you'll have a great conversation. And then I'll warm up, and I'll start saying, oh, what are you interested in doing? What do you want to do next year? So have an agenda that's yours to have for networking, okay? And always, always be respectful of their time. If they said they only have 30 minutes, don't keep going hoping that they can go longer. You want to say, oh, I want to be respectful of your time, and start closing up your books and getting ready to go. And if they say, no, no, I can go longer, great. But you always want to own the clock. Unfortunately, I've had a lot of networking meetings where the other person doesn't show without canceling. They're 10 minutes late because they're running from another meeting. Networking is like having an interview. And because they're building a first impression on you too. You may be networking with someone who could hire you later or could refer you to a friend of theirs who has a position for you. You don't know any of that. So you're making a huge first impression. So watch all the things on the right side. Being negative, noise in the cars, if you're having a phone call. I know we all use Pick Your Brain, and you're probably wondering, why is that on there? It's really informal and actually kind of offensive to other generations. And you have to modulate your style to all types, all cultures, all generations. So stay with plain English and proper formal English. That's a colloquialism. It's just a turn off for many. It means it's just not that important, picking your brain, versus I need your advice. I have 3 questions for you. Do you mind if I come into your office? You don't want to do, let's do coffee. As a matter of fact, with any of your informationals, since you're mostly on the networker side, you want something from them, do not offer to meet them in the Starbucks, please. You offer to go to their office, and you want to go to their office. If they offer to say, no, no, let's just meet in the Starbucks downstairs, say, great. You don't have to say, no, I can't. This woman told me not to. You can go if they want coffee. I just don't want you to be the person asking for coffee. It's the same with jokes, by the way. Do not go in and tell jokes, because you never know who you're going to offend. Now, if they tell jokes, you got to laugh furiously at them, right, whether they're funny or not. But don't be the one to tell jokes. Okay. So turn off. The number 1 turn off is informality. It's accident. I know it's what we text. It's what we say to our parents, our kids, or our friends. You've got to draw a bar, like literally put on a different hat, say, I'm in formal language land. And take off all these, don't walk by someone's office and say, got a sec? Then it must not be that important to you. First, nothing takes a sec. Networking is you want a 30-minute conversation or 15. But please know when you're in and you're out. It's like, put a different persona. And I'm networking. I'm sorry, guys, I can't go meet my friends for this because in 30 minutes I have an informational call and I need to prepare. I'm not going to be late for that. I'm going to be calm. Or it's a web conference, so I got to put something at least waist up that looks somewhat decent. I don't want to know what you have down there, but you've got to really prepare for all types of scenarios. Okay, so let's move to follow-up. So let me pause there. Let me go back. That was in the, well, I'll have time for questions at the end. Let me keep going. Follow-up. This is pretty deplorable right now. I mean, you all think you're great at sending thank you notes. I mean, my kids are still horrible. I'm constantly saying, did you send one? Even when they get gifts. But this is even more important than thanking Grandma for that check she just sent. This is thanking everyone you met. Oh, you know what? This one is a short time. What do we have until 3:15? 4:15, right? An hour? Is this one an hour? 4:15. Good. Okay, we're good. Does this go to 4:30? Oh, good. I got alarmed when all of a sudden people needed to bolt, but I don't mind. I won't pick on you. I won't throw things at you. I just wanted to be sure I was on time. And we'll have time for questions, too. Following up. You can never thank someone enough for their time, for their graciousness, for their insights. And the beauty is that you had the pen and paper, so you wrote down what insights they gave you. Use those back in your thank you note. Make it a personal one. Even if you honestly, okay, they told me something I already knew, so what? They don't know that. Thank you so much for telling me that a key attribute at Microsoft was to be on time, something like that. Play it back to them. Active listening makes a great thank you note. Track all your meetings. So what I do in that same contact, if I met with them again, I put that back in the contact. Okay, it's hard to do that in LinkedIn. LinkedIn doesn't have a place to kind of track your touch points with them really well. It's not a database of a track of timetables. So you got to build your own tool. Use your technology. You could start a spreadsheet if you want. Call it your networking spreadsheet. I'll have one for you in my next book that I'll give you. 3 and 6 month follow-ups is key. Even if you don't know what you need from them, you can always simply, in 3 months, John, again, it was great meeting you back at BMES in the elevator. You gave me some great advice. I just want to follow up with you and tell you that I'm still doing great in school. I'll be graduating in May, and I'll let you know how things are going then. Your network wants to hear from you. The number one gratification, why I do it all the time, is to hear back from people on anything. They just got married. They just moved cities, and they're still looking for a job. Anything. That's building the relationship. So don't go dark. Don't go radio silent. And the only way you won't go dark, meaning use them, is having it in your calendar. You cannot remember any other way. Put a meeting to yourself at 8 a.m. 3 months from now that I'm going to email Dana Monsiagli, that crazy woman in red, and let her know how I'm doing, or ask her a question about job search, because I'm going to add her part of my network. That's an example. But all your professors, your career advisors, but all these informationals you're having, even hiring managers who didn't hire you. Some of you are having interviews and you got rejected, right? But you met someone, or you met them on the phone, or you met them face to face. They should be part of your network. Because you may call them and they may have a job at their next company or 6 months later, but they forgot about you because you forgot about them. So don't hesitate. Don't ever hesitate to say, I'm that person you met a long time ago at BMES, and I want to stay in touch with you. Here's what I'm doing now. No action needed, not looking for anything, just want to stay in touch. That could be via LinkedIn if you're a connection too. If some of you, how many of you have this, where you have some people that have been in your network, but you haven't been in touch with them to the point where it's kind of embarrassing to reconnect? And you have that? Like, oops, we all do. Here's the trick. I want you to reconnect with all of them. First sentence of your message to them, I'm sorry, I have not stayed in touch. And then you breeze on. You don't dwell on it. You don't say, my dog ate my homework, I had a baby. You just move on, because everyone's been there, done that. So you apologize, and you don't say, here's what I get. Deanna, I'm sorry we haven't stayed in contact. There's no we. You know, take ownership of it. In other words, fall on the sword. Just say, I'm guilty. And just say, I'm sorry I haven't stayed in contact. I'd like to reconnect with you now because. What goes next? Your goal. Move on. Chin high. Just move on. Apologize, though. That is you'll feel great about, okay, phew, got over that one. Don't just ignore it. I mean, it's one of those things that you don't know their name and it gets embarrassing. It's the same thing. Dive in. Reconnect, because they're better than a cold network, right? They're at least lukewarm. They've known you one time or another. If you don't think they know you anymore, you can say, we met at such, or you're a friend of my parents. You know, you can reintroduce yourself. But do reconnect with people that have become awkwardly remote. Okay, I've made some huge bloopers in my networking career, so I am sharing them with you. I thought I was really good with technology, especially because I worked at Microsoft and I knew Outlook in and out. And so I tried reaching out to my contacts, doing the personalized, dear so-and-so form letter, and then I'd close that popped their name in again toward the end. Dear Bob, thank you, Sally. Dear Cindy, gee, Paul, it was nice talking to you. Don't do this. No matter how good you are, don't try the batch emails. Do the copy and paste and reread it. Make it simple, but don't try to be cute, because it'll let you down big time. It was awful. Grammar. Okay, we all think, okay, I know in job search I can't make a mistake. I've got to prove, she said that, I got it. Why is it here too? Because everything you're doing is still a sample of who you are to a potential hiring manager, a potential reference for you, anybody down the road, and you just want to come across buttoned up. You just want to be put together. It's your best face. So please check your networking stuff, even on LinkedIn, even in that little connect button, you know, when you write them a note to connect. And I hope you're writing a personal note. I'm going to talk about that. Please don't have any typos. Just pause. Don't rush through everything. It's like my child, Chad, my other one. You know, he just like He thinks he's so quick. And I'm like, Chad, look at that. It's a pile of doo-doo. Just stop for a second, slow it down, and it'll be higher quality. Don't worry about number 3. I mean, basically, if you have a contact, John Smith, and someone walks up to you and says, oh, I need to talk to someone at Merck, don't say, oh, here's John Smith's name. No, you make the introduction. You don't give out your contacts to other people. It's just disrespectful. And then, of course, the disappear and reappear is using. So that's a big, big problem. Okay, you're all pros now. You've all graduated from the 1 to 2, 2 to 3. I want you to read this and give me your comments. Do some shout outs when you're ready. What do you like? What do you not like? Shout it out. Yeah, it's a weak start. You know, it's defensive. Having the cycles, it's a little kind of casual. Yes. Informal. What else do you see? What about the start? Hi, Dana. Anyone notice that? No, hi. You're not my best buddy yet. We're not friends. Yes? Yeah, not looking for anything. Make something up. Just like, hey, I'd like to have a meeting on my career or something. So, how fast can I find the delete button? If you're not looking for anything, then what'd you write me for? Yeah. Yeah, I know. Time, like bandwidth, I guess. I don't know if you have the bandwidth. I don't know if you have cycles, times. I don't know. These are real. Go ask him or her. I don't remember who it was. I deleted it. Yeah, where? Yeah, it's not well thought through. You're right. Last one. Yeah. Thank you. The ending. Thanks, and there's just a first name. Ken, Susan. No, full signature blocks. All of you. What I mean, full name, always, not just Carrie. Full name, email, because if I forward this, if it's good, I lose the email, right? So full signature blocks, full phone number. We're going on to another one. Why don't you give me feedback? Oh, do you have a question, though? Okay, one question, and then we'll keep going. Yep. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's pretty minor, but I would only have your name once. So best regards, full name, not your name and then full name. Okay, any comments on this one? We're going to have to speed for me to get to the end, so let's see if we can take questions at the end. Quick comments. What do you see? Yeah, dancing around the point. Can you spare a break? Can I help me strategize my approach? Come on, just tell me. You're looking for a job. Yes. Yeah. Real estate is dead, and I really need income. Typo. Exactly. Okay, I'm going to speed now. What do you think about this one? Likes or dislikes? You like it? Thumbs up? Thumbs down? Up. Yeah, everything's pretty darn good. They're specific. 3 questions. I love, that was great. They already have their agenda. They're going to come in with 3 questions. Awesome. You'll get copies of all these. You can steal them. No. Is it presumptuous to say, how about next Tuesday or Thursday? It's a great way to close. Because maybe they'll feel more compelled to write back saying, neither of those days, you get an engagement. Maybe they'll say neither, or how about Wednesday, but just pick a time. Especially, and some of you ask me, how do I follow up on my second or third follow-up with people, and they're not responding? Try the presumptive close. Get more presumptive. One more. Sure. That's no different than this. This is just more specific. That's more open-ended. And this kind of forces them to pick Tuesday or Thursday because you've teed them up. Sure, you can ask that. But it's not as tight as this one is in terms of how about Tuesday or Thursday. The reader might be more inclined to pick a time. But that's a great close. We've got to go over to social media because we're going to run out here. So I'm going to go through this. Social media do's and don'ts. We're going to focus on the don't side for time. Don't get casual in, especially LinkedIn. I don't care what you do on Facebook, although party pictures will hurt you. But don't get casual or vague. Stay just as buttoned up as anywhere else. Same with typos or grammatical. So here's a LinkedIn connection. You know how you click that connect button? Hi, Dana. Hi. I was hoping to connect with you to chat. We don't chat, right? We're not buddies yet. Can you give me a call when you have a free moment, please? Cheers, which means thank you in UK and British, but still, this is not right for connecting on LinkedIn for someone you don't know. Great for a buddy. Don't get me wrong. I'm separating professional networking from connecting with a buddy. So I want you all to raise the bar on your LinkedIn connections. Employers are scoping out job candidates on social media, and what they're finding to research candidates, for those of you who are in candidates, actually, in this study, they say they went to Facebook. They're going to Facebook to rule candidates out. Facebook is a place to go to put you in the no pile. LinkedIn is the place they go to learn more about you, be sure that you have a full profile that matches your resume, and to more positively get more hobbies, things that people are thinking about you, how many connections you have. So know that your presence on these is important, but for very different reasons. And it's because social media can help you, and this is what they're looking for on the surveys, whether you're a good fit, you're well-rounded, your qualifications. So I want you to spend time to make your presence great. However, social media can also hurt you, and this is networking, not just job search. Especially what I've mentioned is provocative, drinking, drugs, bad-mouthing employers on Facebook, for example. They're going to say, uh-oh, I'm going to be the next one that they slam. So watch out the comments you're making, even things that are discriminatory, race, gender, politics. Avoid all that, especially when you're in job search mode. I would avoid it altogether, but that's me. But especially when you're managing your career, you want to make your presence great. So I did pass out this exercise, and it's in the handouts that will be online on bmes.org under events. Your action is to do an exercise of what is your social media presence today, and I highlighted the checklist of things I'd like you to do right away. And in LinkedIn, there's great tutorials in the Help Center. There are a bunch on YouTube. You can find them anywhere, but even in LinkedIn alone, get fluent, learn the foreign language if you don't know it. And it's way beyond having a good profile and knowing how to even search for people. So please focus there, because it will be with you the rest of your career until another solution, of course, comes up. But LinkedIn's here to stay. Finding goals. Twitter, at least open an account. You do not have to tweet, but you can learn how do you follow people and learn about people in your industry. And just being on there is great. And then Facebook, cleaning up. Take a tutorial. You can button up all your privacy settings. Learn privacy settings in LinkedIn as well. Now, I have a super important thing I want to show you on LinkedIn. And you can tell all your friends, I'm not going to be able to, I got to know my profile, my password. Darn, this isn't my computer. LinkedIn. Tell it's not my computer. Well, let's see. Hotspot. Oh, I won't. Okay, I'm going to have to describe it. In LinkedIn, I'm sorry, did someone have a comment? Oh, did it? But I'm still not going to be able to get in my LinkedIn. Let's see. Yeah. I'll try one more linked. Oh my God, I'm just dyslexic up here. LinkedIn. Okay, never mind. Because I don't know my password off the top of my head. It's in auto-populate. On LinkedIn, listen super carefully. I hope I can do this well. You have a lot of different places to click connect. If you just type Dana, and a whole bunch of Danas come up, right? A bunch of faces are listed down the middle or along the side. or people you may know pops up, and now you see a whole bunch of connect buttons. You cannot, you guys right here have permission to hit none of those. Never, ever, 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 ever hit any of those connect buttons. The only one you can click is when you find a person and you open up their full profile. You can literally read what school they went to, the bigger picture, their background. That's the only connect button. Anyone know why? It's the only one you can customize, and you can only connect with people with a customized message from today on. All of you. You will be the best on LinkedIn. Up on LinkedIn, I have an article called Lazy LinkedIn Users, but because all the rest send that stupid auto message that says, I'd like to connect with you here on LinkedIn, or you're a person I trust. Don't be one of those. Make it personal. So you open it up, you click on, it says, click on who you are. You can just your latest one if you're a student. It's just fine. And then write a personal note. Wipe out the stupid thing that's in there. Say, Deanna, we met at BMS, so thank you for your presentation. Sign, and then it can say Larry Smith, because I have now access to your profile, or it can just say Larry. Say something. You will have a much higher response rate of people connecting with you. And you can even say, I'd like to ask, after we connect, I'd like to ask you for 15 minutes of your time. Or I'm a student in BMES, I'd like to connect with you here. Great background, can I connect with you here on LinkedIn? Please, please be the one to give yourself only permission to hit that one connect button. Thank you, I feel so much better now. Because this is your best day on LinkedIn too. You're making a first impression. So, hi Dana, I'd like to get your advice, spelled wrong. Advice is with a C, advise is with an S, on some of the product manager postings at Microsoft. Kindly. So this person's, I was at Microsoft, they're looking for a job at Microsoft, and they asked me this huge, humongous question in LinkedIn. I can't reply to this, I'm not a recruiter for Microsoft, right? So make your best, have a good picture also in there, where it doesn't have to be professionally taken. That one's just ridiculous. Okay, so I want you to raise the bar, all of you, to be better than your peers who aren't in this room right now. Shh, don't tell them what we talked about. So attack your networking plan. Put your dates in your calendar, get really meticulous on it. Partner with one another. If you're co-students at the same school, why not every week? How did you do? Did you network with anyone? What's working for you? A lot more in here too. So for those of you who didn't fill out a little business card, we passed out little slips. Feel free to fill those out. Put them up here. I'm going to have drawings for books, and I'll contact you if you win one. So there's a lot more on networking there, and online on my website as well. And success won't happen alone. You've got to do it with a network. So here we are, a network. I want to give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you. You've been so great. Thank you. Start networking. We have a mock interview today, this room at 5 p.m. You'll see the good, the bad, and the ugly, live and in person, not a video. So be here. And connect with me at any time. Thanks, everyone.